Welcome to Nameless Debate Radio, where radioactivity is contagious. You can join us in broadening our minds on the Nameless Debates Discord via the link below and even feature here yourself, if you've got what it takes.
Evolution has what makes evolution kind of special, right? Is that it has these kind of key postulates, right? And given those postulates, evolution will be true. If they are if you're going to debate evolution, try to defeat one of the postulates for it. I forget them they're not coming to mind right now because I'm just tired. But things like variation, inheritance, and that inheritance making a difference to say the future survival or prevalence of that quality. If those are the case, then you will see evolution in that system. And that's true for any system that has these postulates in action. So it doesn't actually have to be living entities. You can see it in programming. If you set up your programming such that it's iterative and capable of inheritance, then you'll see it evolve.
Okay, but you're saying that if we assume that they're true for the purposes of our analysis, and we never come up with a contradiction, you're saying that we deductively show that the phenomenon is correctly interpreted. Is that right?
Given the postulates, you will see evolution. If it's just a premise conclusion type thing, it's not.
Okay, so
really
what you're saying. Okay, wait a minute.
Yeah. That's why it differs a little, and that's why it's a bit odd when people say they don't believe in evolution.
Yeah, you're saying you're saying that the argument for evolution, when it's properly formulated, is deductively valid, right?
Yeah, that's the way it draws its support together. So it's deductive support for the conclusion, not inductive support. Yeah. Though the premises can have inductive
yeah,
support.
obviously, yeah. I think that's the bit that I was, a little bit troubled by, because obviously when you have these postulates to begin with, you probably arrived at a bunch of them inductively, and we have to say that, because otherwise it's a bit confusing.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. So how you arrive at the postulate's one thing, but once you have those postulates and you say they are true premises, then when they're fed in, then evolution falls out the other end.
Yeah. I'm not exactly sure of the specific argument you're referring to, but I'd be willing to accept that.
Oh no, it's just the four postulates of evolution, modern synthesis era stuff. Then it's been more the same. I've forgotten. This is high school bio. This hurts.
You've forgotten high school bio. You've forgotten bio.
Hey, I don't have to talk about the four postulates very often, except to laymen, because they're taken as, to be honest, they're almost as close to dogma as you'll get in evolution. So they're a thing, and no person would normally question it. And it's it's 5. Great. It varies between 4 and 5 depending on which you choose, but there are a series of premises, and it's just individuals are variable. Some variations are passed down. More offsprings are produced than can survive. Survival and reproduction are not random, and the history of Earth is long. Right? Given those 5, you'll have evolution happen, as long as those 5 are true. As a way of
yeah. Oh, I get you. No, yeah. Looking at them, I would accept that.
Yeah, you can get a 4. You can get 4. It can get a 4 postulate version. You can get 5 postulate version. The 5th is always just time. Sometimes they don't say time. Sometimes they do. Whichever. And you can kind of do a better job than the ones kind of given out by Darwin, because some of these can be kind of stripped back to a much more basic postulate, which then can be applied to newer systems and unexpected situations. So when we say individuals are variable, we can actually say that an individual here doesn't have to be a living entity. And then you can start applying it to fields you didn't expect it to apply. I really do like the application of evolutionary theory to programming and design. So it's where you have iterative design. You produce just a massive number of designs, and then you just
I assume that you mean iterative.
Yeah, I mispronounce everything. Iterative. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, go on.
Yeah. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. It's just, I like, because bi is my deal, it just bothers me because people just deny evolution. It's like, do you know what it is that you're doing? Like, if you're denying evolution, you're probably not denying it itself. You're probably denying one of the postulates, which is a fine thing. But it would be nice if they did that. Preferable. I mean,
Yeah, I get you.
you can deny that the history of the Earth is long. Young Earth creationists say it's only just 3,000 years. You can do that, or you can say individuals don't vary. That's probably a hard one. Maybe like all these kind of things.
Mhm.
But
Oh, well,
I think
dude,
this
like,
is,
I've argued, for instance,
Yeah.
with, I don't know if you met King Tan.
oh yes, I have.
Yeah. Dude, he didn't understand that, like, he didn't seem to have a grasp of what DNA was. He had no clue that, like, we could demonstrate that humans are related to all other creatures. And, like, during a fucking 2-hour debate with him, like, near the end, it was, you probably haven't met this guy, Vivi, and me were talking to him about it for ages. And, yeah, like, near the end of it, I showed him, like, I'll post it on text chat.
But have you heard of genome theory though?
Yeah, don't even start, eh?
Oh yeah, he tried that against me, and I was talking to him why it doesn't work. But yeah,
Dude, he linked to Wikipedia and I couldn't find it in there, and I asked where he was, and he's like, I don't know, it's fucking it's in there somewhere.
Yeah, so basically, like, near the end of the debate, I showed him that image. And, like, oh, dude, he like, started trying to integrate the information. And you could tell because he started to ask Vivi questions about how Vivi, like, accepted evolution, even though he was a Muslim. But then the next time we talked to him, he was on the same fucking bullshit.
he didn't integrate it. Just temporary, transient.
Yeah, dude. Well,
Yeah,
it seemed like he was stumped, and he was like, okay, maybe I should think about it. But then he was like, nah, can't be.
Yeah. But like, the minimal genome thing that was a pain. It's like really helpful to explain to him what it means.
Yeah, dude.
It's something you determine it's something you determine retroactively, looking back at life as we see it today. My point with doing so is that they may have existed life forms beforehand that had smaller genomes than what we estimate looking at current life forms to be minimal. In fact, it's more like saying, if I took a copy of Microsoft Word, how much can I strip out before it fails? There'll be a minimum bound, right? But that doesn't mean that there wasn't a form of Microsoft Word early in its creation that was smaller than that. There probably was, right? It probably didn't just pop up as that minimal set. It was probably just built line by line. Which is well in line with standard evolutionary theory to say that things were constructed kind of gradually.
For sure, yeah.
Instinct, I was listening to your conversation with Omega.
Oh, dude.
Dude, it was fucking great.
What was that about?
Oh, it's the same one we were talking about before, man. Set theory.
Oh, that's bizarre. I don't know
I'm
what to
sorry,
say.
like, yeah, I'm not even sure if what he was saying at the, like, it's paradox to say it's
I'm
equivalent.
worried he's mentally ill, dude.
He was saying, like, it's equivalent and not equivalent, and that's a paradox, and then you were trying to say, no, it's equivalent in, like, one sense, but over, like, in some sense it's different too, so you can't say,
I mean,
like, it's exactly the same, but not the same.
Maybe it's just a
Okay,
wonky
so-
understanding of sets, I guess.
Like, oh no, dude, it was more than wonky. Like, the basic version of that argument, Stacy, is something actually that that fucking utterly arrogant guy Chris Langan called, I think he called it syndiffianosis, and it's this idea that in order for you to assert that two things are different, they have to be the same in some capacity in order that you, like, regard them together.
Wait, what?
Right,
Okay.
like, to say that two things are different, they have to have some sort of relationship, because otherwise you can't make a comparison. You can't make a comparison
Yeah.
and say that they're different.
Yeah, is
So
that
if
false?
So if I say,
that's true.
So if I
Okay, I
say
thought.
God,
Okay.
no, that's cool. I mean, I'd like to entertain or concede ideas just to see what happens, right? So if I say God is different to Satan, I'm also saying that they're rather similar. Is that correct?
That what? Sorry.
God is different to the devil or Satan, whatever you want to call the antithesis of God, right? They're actually similar as well. That's how that
Yeah,
works.
of course.
Yeah, they're both the thing.
Well, think about this.
Yeah.
Think about this. God and Satan are both human projections of our unconscious, like, need to explain the world, right?
I can see how it works.
Like, there
I mean,
is a similarity. There's a way in which they are the same. It's just that there's a lot of other ways that they're different.
Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, no, I can see how it works. I'm not sure how it helps because it's true. Like the colors black and white are different.
It's a
They're
unifying
both
principle.
colors.
Yes, it's a
Yeah.
unifying principle. It means that anything that you can say is different to something else is the same in some sense, and there's no way to deny that.
I wouldn't even say they're the same. It's often that they are members.
No, listen, they're the
of-
same in one sense and one sense only. Like, if you say they're members of the same, like, class, category, or set, you're still saying that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. This kind of minor petty sameness.
I mean, it is, but it isn't.
Hey, I mean, if you want to say they're significantly same, then yeah, I get what you mean. I dislike it.
Okay, here's what I mean. Is it seems insignificant, but for instance, in the context of the problem of the one and the many, it points towards the one.
Why does it not point towards the many at the same time?
It does, but it says that the many are, in any sense that you characterize them as many or disparate, differentiated, anything like that, are more fundamentally the one, because the fact that they are related to one another in some sense is more fundamental than any capacity that you can display to say that they are different.
I mean,
Fucking wreck.
I'm just wondering why that doesn't work in reverse, though.
Why that doesn't what, sorry?
Work in reverse. So why don't? Wouldn't they just be equal standing?
What do you mean?
Because so by the idea, right, there'll be something that's shared or same or equal, right?
Yes.
But this doesn't have directionality to it. It just says they're the same or that. Like it doesn't imply.
No. But what I'm saying is that, like, if when we think of every difference that we can, a common element in every difference is that there is also sameness, right? Then that points towards sameness being more primal than differentiation.
But they all have differences as well.
Not necessarily. Like, that's what I mean. Like, that could be an element of perception, not of reality.
All of it could be an element of perception and
No,
not
no,
reality?
the differentiation. Like, it definitely has, what would you say? Varying degrees of detail. But, like, when it comes to, like, what you, the way that you perceive the world, it has a structure that transcends you.
Well, okay. This is going to go down to metaphysics and epistemology. What a
No,
pain.
but that's no. But what we're talking about, right? When we're talking about the one and the many, right? We're talking about whether things are the same or different. And I'm saying, like, difference should differentiate absolutely, but it never does. So maybe difference doesn't exist. I've never seen proper difference, right? Every difference that I can even conceive of has sameness. And, like, when I think of sameness as proper, maybe the difference just looks like it's there and it's properly same.
I think of them as kind of compartmentalized, right? Few things are ever same and different on the exact same aspect. So when we say, like, when we think of black and white, right, as colors, they're same in that they're colors.
Okay, let me
They're
put it to you
remarkably
this way,
different
right?
in
Let me
that
put it to you this way.
arms.
No, because like, like this is the whole point of like categories, right? They're different in that they're different colors, but they're the same in a sense that transcends the individual differences, right?
How does it transcend though? I don't understand why there's
Because
this
they are
parallel.
all colors. Because
Yes, they're all
the
members of that set.
statement, this thing is a color, is true for every single one, and so the differences they have between them are like dependent on the individual variables, but the sameness is common.
Right. So this is where I would think of set theory, right? So you have members of a set, right? What makes a member is that it's different to the other members, and what makes it a member of a set
What?
is that it has a
What makes a member is that it's different to other
to
members.
the
That's a strange
yes.
definition.
It's important. Like it's one of the characteristics of member. So there's only one set
Isn't
that
member
has
defined
a
in
singular...
relation to set?
Yeah, they are. They're kind of dependent on each other, right? You can't have well, you can have
Yes, you
members.
can. Yeah, exactly.
can.
So when we're saying we're talking about members are defined in relation to sets.
Yeah, I guess so. Like that's the point of saying they're a member.
No, but you said some weird definition of member first. Do you want to repeat it
I'm
for
saying
me?
that the whole point of you saying members plural is that there is a member A and a member B and that they are different, right? Otherwise, you would not insist on there being members plural.
But that's not
You'd
what
say
the
there
word
is a member
member.
singular.
No, but no. If that's what you meant to,
That's more what I meant to say, right? So I'm talking about members
Okay,
plural.
let me think for
So
a
if
second.
we're saying members plural, then we're saying that there is in fact a point in saying this thing. I should say
Members plural. I don't. It doesn't look like it follows. Could you reiterate it?
so. Well, I mean, sure. Communication is purposeful, right? So if I say there are members in this set, then I am likely trying to tell you that there are at least 2 members that are different to each other, rather than saying that there is just one member.
Okay.
Right?
1 sec. How's your night going, by the way?
Good. I'm gonna sleep soon enough, but yeah, good.
I need to sleep.
Can I say everything is different in some sense as well?
Pardon?
I mean,
So, like,
some
the claim is that
Yes. Things are different phenomenologically at the very least.
okay. It's like if everything comes like can be boiled down to like a similarity, but then everything can also be boiled down to like some difference. Then what? I don't get. Where do we go from there?
Because I think most people accept that phenomenological like characteristics are subordinated to the rules of the actual world.
they shouldn't probably, because
Well, they
the whole-
probably should.
should they? Shouldn't they? Sorry.
There is a real world outside the phenomenological experience of it.
Oh, right. Yeah, but that's different from saying that the phenomena are related to goddamn cat.
It's not, I'm not saying it is noumena.
Yeah. I mean,
No,
that's
but
the
I'm
point
not
using
saying
the word
I'm not
phenomena.
I'm not saying the outside world is noumena, right?
Yeah. Then what is it?
Noumener.
What I'm saying is there is an outside world outside of the phenomenological experience of it, and obviously.
Right, but that would be the statement. So when you say phenomenological experience, that's not the phenomenological in the Kantian sense. Then.
I don't believe in a transcendental subject, so no.
The phenomenological bit doesn't have any transcendental statements to it. It's the noumena.
The phenomenological refers to the experience of subjectivity, like in the world, experiencing existence. Existence
as
is
it
the
is to you.
phenomena.
Yeah.
Yeah, existence is the phenomena, right? Phenomenological is your experience of existence. All subjects' experience of existence.
Kinda.
So
Because it's
phenomenologically, according to subjects, there are differences in the world. It's useful to think that way. Okay, but I'm saying like maybe in a sense that is not dependent on the perception of subjects and is outside of the scope of
Right.
what phenomenological truth applies to. They are
Right.
more the same than they are different.
Can I ask a question?
yeah. Go ahead.
So say if someone this is gonna sound crazy, but like, do you know with the whole NPC meme? It's like basically when I die, the whole universe dies. Is that correct?
No,
Yeah,
that's
that's
solipsism.
Because it's through my
Unless
through
you're
my
like
eyes
this,
that the
though.
universe exists and all of you exist. So when I die, basically, none of this matters. You're all
Well,
done.
I mean, look, if you accept extremely sloppy characterizations, then yeah, maybe. Like if the universe is equivalent to your experience of things, you specifically, I
Mhm.
guess. But that's like about as loose a definition as I've ever heard.
Yeah, our approach is slightly different. So we have the phenomenological realm, as you wish, and the world as it appears to us.
The world as we experience it.
Yeah, sure. And that's the stuff of which we have good access to. What we don't have access to is the world as it doesn't appear to us, or as underlies that.
Correct.
Right. We can
Um,
kind of
close.
say that it's there, but we cannot say much about what it is.
I'm not sure I agree with that.
That's the Kantian sense, which I'm kind of.
Well, I mean, what are we doing when we're doing mathematics, though?
We're operating on the phenomenological.
Pardon?
Math is something that is in fact, and something you in fact experience.
Yes, but math is part of the rules of the reality beyond phenomenological experience.
No, it's not transcendental.
Totally is,
Yes.
dude. Absolutely is.
I mean, which math to begin with?
Well, let's say the math that describes physics.
So,
Like,
Euclidean
are you-
or Hamiltonian? Which
no,
one?
no. I'm talking about like the theories, for instance, which predict the phenomenon of gravity. So we have like several theories of gravity. They're
Mhm.
definitely mathematics, right? And the
No.
mathematics correspond. They're definitely mathematics.
No, they can be written in multiple languages. Math is just.
That's irrelevant. No, math. They're math. Are you serious? They describe the way to make mathematical calculations. Physics. Physics is mathematical calculations.
No, I disagree. Physics is.
What?
No, physics isn't just math. Math
It's
is
mostly
one way
math,
to phrase
dude.
it.
Oh, dude.
No, no. You pick up. Wait, what?
Come on.
Math is a way of operating.
Math is the rigorous language of physics. You might talk about physics in English or in French or in German, but math is the unanimously rigorous way that we operate on the things we're talking about.
It's very hard to describe physics with math.
I don't.
He said
think
it's
you can-
hard to describe physics without math.
Yeah, it's
That's why I
also
like when
very
you hear
hard to
physicists
describe.
talking on Joe and everything's so fucking confusing.
No, that's true. But a lot of
Physics
people
is
ignore
applied
that it's
mathematics.
pretty much.
Like,
yeah.
do you
It's
disagree with
pretty
that?
It's not quite there. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Wait. So math, right, is like
Yep.
a technical discipline, which is like a study of like an abstract realm where you're just reasoning about things, right? And then physics is like where we apply mathematical models to the world and check the results and try to make the models better so that we can predict what's going to happen, right? Is that or is that not an application of math?
Okay, so they're not exactly mathematical models of the world. They're conceptual models of the world, right? Which involve mathematical elements. That's true. That's fine. But if I took any, literally, you can do this all the time. If I were to take a physics textbook, rip out language from it. So I rip out every living language from the book, right? It is gibberish. Like the theorem of gravity doesn't make sense if I just intersperse it in maths alone and don't even tell you what the variables mean. It just doesn't have meaning until I finally tell you that m indicates mass and the concept of mass, right? G indicates the fundamental gravitational constant, and so
Guess
on.
what?
Right?
Guess what? I just don't agree, and the reason that I don't agree is that, like, when we're doing something like semiotics, we can think about ways to represent math
Yes.
that are not purely linguistic, all right? Like, we can do it symbolically, for instance, and that's one of the things that we've done on some of the stuff that we've sent into space, is we have put math on the fucking thing, because obviously if they're any good at reasoning, they'll know math, and maybe they can identify it if we represent it in a couple of different novel ways. So that's what we did. We put math on there, not written in numbers, and you wouldn't need to know any language, anything like ours, to understand it.
They're written in symbols, weren't they?
They're represented symbolically. How can you call
Yes.
that writing?
What is the writing to you?
Pardon?
What is writing?
Writing is using a word to represent something. I'm saying
It's
symbolizing
entirely symbols
something.
on paper.
Yes, but the symbols, like, there's a difference between one symbol and a composite of symbols, which is a word.
Yeah, and there are languages that have symbols to a word. Not even a
No, but
composite of symbols,
I'm
but a symbol
saying
to a word.
there are pictographic languages where you represent individual things with individual objects.
Yes.
Yes, so that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and there are non-pictographic languages. So the only thing that can be said here is that languages use symbols. How they use those symbols kind of varies.
Jeez. Yes, okay, of course. But the point is that, like, you don't need any other language than the language of the symbols that relate to the mathematical concepts to understand them, if they're represented intuitively.
You can represent numbers, but the operation addition, right, has a specific symbol that may not be universal.
No, but you can represent measurements as well.
What do you mean by represent measurements? Do you measure?
Well, so like one of the things that we did was we have like this. It's like I don't know how to describe it exactly. It's like a spatial model of a bunch of measurements that we've made about the distance between our star and a bunch of other things.
Yeah, a map.
Yeah, and yes, and it's like scaled such that you can interpret exactly how far all the measurements are.
Yeah, that's a map. A map is not exactly
Yes.
mathematics, nor is it language.
It's definitely that's my exact point. It definitely represents something mathematical, but it's not linguistic.
It's not mathematical nor linguistic. It's a map.
It represents something mathematical, dude. It's a map that guides you to the meaning of the math.
The meaning of the math. It's a map of our solar system.
Dude, yes, but you can look at Jesus. You can look at the measurements, right? And you can compare them to other things you know, and you can figure out what this thing you don't know is a map of, right? You can figure out it's a map, and you can figure out what it's a map of.
Yeah, that's not maths, that's a map. You're
What?
literally looking at a map and you're saying,
No, you're
hey,
comparing it to measurements that you've made with math, dude. Jesus Christ.
what measurements you've made with math relate
When
to a map of
you're
the solar system?
measuring other things,
Like what?
My dick size, haha.
like the stuff that they'd be comparing the fucking information we've given them to. Like, how do you think they measure it? You think they fucking teleport to it?
What?
They don't fly to all of the things that they're measuring, right?
I mean, if they're comparing the map to the real thing, then they're obviously seeing the real thing, right?
What?
A map doesn't work unless you've got something to compare it to.
Yes, but the map isn't of the fucking actual terrain. It's of measurements. It's a scaled
it's an
measurement
actual-
map.
Yeah, you're right. So, but it is a map, yes?
Yeah, but you can't go onto the terrain.
It's a map of the solar system. There's no terrain.
No, but you
It's a
don't
map.
recognize it by sight, dude.
Distance. What do you mean you don't recognize?
I mean, you don't recognize it by sight. You recognize it by recognizing the equivalence between these measurements and those measurements. Jeez, I just don't even understand what's happening in this conversation. Saying because it's a map, it has to be a
Map.
visual representation? That's ridiculous.
Yes, that's what it is.
No, that's fully ridiculous.
Why is it fully ridiculous?
I've just told you, because this is a numerical representation.
Would you like to put a picture up for everyone's benefit then?
All right, dude.
Right. So I believe the diagram he's talking about is a series of lines that indicates distances of objects in our solar system, which is in fact a visual representation of the distances of objects in our solar system.
Yes. But
Yes,
it's
a
not the
map.
sort of map. It's not the sort of map.
I'm not saying it has to be the kind of. I'm not saying
Listen.
It's
Not the sort of. It's not the sort of map that you recognize that it is a map because you look at it visually.
But it doesn't have to be recognizably a map. Like, okay, I'm not saying it's like, you go to a globe of the earth and you say, hey, that looks really like a map.
Wait a minute. So what determines whether or not something is a map? Is it the fact that it was intended to be a map, or is it the fact that it is perceived as a map?
What?
What determines something to be a map?
That it is a map of some
No.
territory.
No. The question is, right, like, is it that someone made it a map, or is it that someone uses it as a map?
Neither is relevant. The point is that it is a
It's
map.
not irrelevant. Answer my question, dude.
Dude, it's correspondence to reality. It's whether
Listen,
it actually is a
listen
map
to
or
me.
something.
So
No. Insane.
Wait.
Check this out, right? So if I had
Wait
a
a
globe of
second.
the earth, if I had a map of the earth, right, and you come along and say, that's not a map, that doesn't cause it to fail to be a map.
Okay.
On the other
that's
hand, if someone else, it doesn't really. Do you think it does?
Listen, I think that the ways that we can construct maps are more complicated than that. Like, people don't have
Yes.
to. No, listen. Like, people make maps out of fucking pieces of wood with a bunch of fucking shells and shit attached to them because they just
Yes.
attach significance to the things with ideas in their heads, right? Like, by your standards, the fact that there is such a board with things on it that you could use to, like, identify landmarks of other things, right, would make it a map, even if nothing ever used it or identified it as a map.
Yes.
That seems ridiculous to me.
Why?
Because maps are things that people, like, designate to represent something else. Like, it's not a map inherently. Map is a subjective designation.
The word is a subjective designation, but when we're saying that
No, the
this is a
category.
map,
The category is a subjective designation. Maps are not ontological, they are phenomenological.
okay. So what I'm just saying, it's a map if it visually represents, it's a visual correlate of something in the real world.
Oh, really? Does
It
that
doesn't-
make
it doesn't
painting?
have to.
Wait a second. Paintings are now maps.
It can be actually. Yeah, you're right.
If-
Okay. Some people
No,
actually took
all
to painting.
all paintings that are realistic correlates of the world are maps.
Yes, absolutely.
What the fuck, dude? It feels
They don't
like you're
have to
getting the
be.
word map incorrect.
No, I'm not.
Yes.
I mean, we can debate linguistics, but
No, that's what it feels like to me.
They don't have to be used as a map to be a map. Usage does not make it a map.
No, but
like my globe doesn't
designation,
matter.
like
It's not like-
subjective determination is what makes it a map.
So if I point at my wall and say it's a map, it's now a map.
Okay. Let me just.
Is that correct? You said my designation. You did say designation, correct?
Dude, I'm trying. Just
I'm trying here. I designate my
midnight,
wall. I formally designate my wall
Midnight.
as
Come on,
a
man.
map.
Come on. All right, ready? I want you to
Okay.
do me a favor, and I want you to look up the word map, and tell
No,
me if you
insane.
think, just quickly, and tell me if you think it's consistent with what you've been saying.
No, I want you to tell me what happens when I formally designate my wall as a map. Go on. map?
If you use it to represent something else in an effective manner, it is a map. Yes.
In an effective manner. We've now woven some extra elements here, right? So it's going to be an effective communicate. Yeah.
It has to be designated and actually represent something. You can't just say it represents something. That's what I mean. Sorry.
Okay. Now, would you like to look at the definition of a map? I'm using Oxford here, right? Point to
Mhm.
me where it requires an artist to designate the item as a map. Which one? 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3. Which one?
Oxford, did you
Designation? Anywhere there?
say? Representation, right?
Representation is not
No,
designation.
listen. Stop. Okay. When we say representation, what do
Mhm.
we mean? Do we mean that everything represents everything else because you could conceive of a way that it does, or do we mean that someone is representing something?
So you think representation requires designation? Fine.
Yes, of course I do. And I think that that's actually axiomatically accurate.
Okay, fine. All I'd say is that, look, the diagram you've linked me, right, is very much a two-dimensional representation of the position of stars or other astronomical objects.
Yes,
What
but
was
it's a
the problem?
representation of measurements, right?
No, positions of stars or other astronomical
Yeah,
objects.
but
Those actually
but
represent positions.
of
You know that,
course,
right?
but the point is, it's not just a picture, all right? It's mathematically precise. It has a scale that represents exactly what it is. The idea is that when you look at it, okay, if you pay attention to it, you can like get some numbers out of it in whatever form you have them, even if they're only in your head. You can get some meaning out of it, right? And you can compare
Meaning
that to
numbers are
other
different
things. You can compare the information that can be extracted from this diagram, right? Which are
Mhm.
measurements that someone else has made. That's what the information is. To other things you know, and discover that there is a correlation between the two things.
Yes, but this is actually a diagrammatic representation of the positions. And the angles on this actually
Exactly.
represent positions,
But
right?
you said math required language, dude.
Math is a language. It doesn't even require language. It is a
Dude.
language.
Yes,
Right?
math is a technical language, of course.
Right. That's what I said right at the start. I'm really sure what you're getting at.
No, that's
But if you're
not
talking
what you
about physics, right? If you're talking about physics, I'm
What
telling
I
you that you
said was that
cannot.
physics is applied math.
No. Physics is more than applied math.
It doesn't matter if it's more than that. It's
Applied math is
still
like statistics, right?
Okay, wait. That's not a good reason to say no, right? Saying
What?
it's more than that is not a good reason to say no, it isn't that. If
Right.
it's more than
So-
that, wait. If it's more than that, isn't it true that you mean yes, it is that, but it is more than that?
I'm saying it's insufficient if you describe it as applied mathematics.
But it is that thing.
It's a necessary component, but it's insufficient.
So then
and
don't say
misleading.
no.
It's misleading.
That's misleading. It's misleading to say no, dude.
It
It is
depending on how we
misleading to
had-
say no.
Okay, physics is not
Dude,
just.
listen. I understand.
Mhm.
You said no because you were disagreeing with me, right? But you
Mhm.
didn't disagree with what I said. And when you said no, that
I'm
was very
disagreeing
confusing.
with I'm disagreeing with you saying that it is
I
just
asked
applied
you a
mathematics.
fucking
It's not.
explicit question. Okay, I said, is it applied mathematics? I did not say just. You took a contention with what I said where you assumed what
It
you
is
thought
not.
I was saying. You injected just, right? I didn't say
Because
just.
that means that your statement was incomplete.
Did
right?
I say just?
It's ambiguous.
It's not
ambiguous.
incomplete. I'm making the statement for a reason.
Is black gray?
Fuck.
Is black gray?
Does it snow near you, dude?
No.
Have you ever lived anywhere near snow?
No.
I was just wondering how you got so good at building these straw mans, dude.
Out of snow.
Yeah, you practice with snowmen, obviously.
What?
Straw man, snowman, they're not that different.
Sure.
Jeez. Come on.
It's a weird
Nah.
fucking analogy.
Wouldn't you just ask me if I live near a farm? Wouldn't that
Pardon?
be easier? A wheat field?
No.
Like
No.
That would have been no.
Would it? I know where you live.
Yeah, I'm closer to farmland than I am to snow.
Can I ask for a justification on why this conversation is happening?
I don't know. I don't know. Like I'm just saying, like with physics, right? You can encode a lot of it in mathematics, but you're usually going to need some accompanying
It's not. No,
with
you can't just
conceptual
encode.
elements of it, right? You can encode a lot of it into mathematics, but you're going to need accompanying. You're nearly always going to need accompanying text. The only
Wait,
time you'll
yes.
see an exception to this is when someone is already
For sure.
aware of what concepts are being applied here. Then
For
you
sure,
can do it in
right?
pure
For
math,
sure.
right?
For sure.
But it's not really, and this is what I mean by not really. Like it's not really just
Okay.
math. It's not really
For sure.
just
No, it's not. It's not just math. I
Awesome.
totally agree. So let me just ask you a question, right?
Hmm?
What? I agree with you. It's not just math, right?
Mhm.
What is the ratio of math to non-math
What?
in physics? What is the ratio of math to non-math?
I'm not sure I can answer a question. Are you talking about like in a typical physics paper? What is the ratio of maths to
No, I'm
non-math?
talking about like in
Can they-
studying physics, right?
Of the field as a whole, like in it,
In
like the
in
abstract
studying
physics.
in studying physics.
Yeah.
Yes. What percentage is math in terms of what it actually takes to check the things that are being put to you as true? Like in the practice of performing the measurement of like what you would call the measurement of the analysis that they're doing, you do the math yourself. That's your like measurement, right?
Right.
Is that at all like not
Okay.
math at that stage?
Noting that the understanding of the concepts applied in physics is critical to the use of formulae. Yes, formulae work is an important element of physics. It
Oh,
dominates
dude, but
most of
it's
the work,
like it's
right?
yeah,
But it is
it's
critical, right?
predominant.
So it's like, you could ask me something similar in biology, which is more my home field, right? What element of genetic research is mathematics? A lot of it. But could you perform any of it sensibly if you didn't understand
dude.
genetic theory beforehand?
Come on.
No.
That's not the point. The point is
The point is
the point is
necessary
no. What you so it's like you said just right. When I say physics is applied math, I definitely mean physics is predominantly applied math. In terms of the technical application of the principles involved, it's applied math.
I mean,
Predominantly, it is.
so you're thinking about like what a physicist is doing, right? That's what you're talking about.
Of course, in the performative sense, yes.
Yes, in the performative sense. So a physics, yeah, I feel like I know what you're asking, but I don't think it's informative. I think it's just misguided.
That's
right?
That's
So,
strange.
like you're right. Yeah, they are performing mathematics. Like if you go to a desk, you can go to a desk of a physicist and you'll see them performing a lot of math. Like you'll actually look at it and be like, and I think that's a layman perception, right? You walk over and you're like, hey, there's a lot of math on your desk. Are you like a mathematician? And yeah, there's a lot of similarity here. However, the key difference between, say, a mathematician, a pure mathematician, and even an applied mathematician, and then a physicist, right? Even when the physicists crunch through a whole bunch of what appear to be formulae on paper, is that there's that concept, that dense mass of concepts that are unique to physics,
of course,
and not to mathematics, right?
But
that are critical. They're like the foundation of the stuff.
It seems utterly.
Come on, man. It seems paper, right? So I'm saying that you're doing this deal where I'm saying like you're doing this deal where you're mentally going over to a physicist's desk, looking at a desk and going, I see math, this is applied mathematics.
Not what I'm doing, dude.
I'm telling you that that's not exactly
that is not what I'm doing.
Here.
That's not
what
I'm
do you think
doing.
You're doing?
First of all, that seems like listen. That seems like a rather unfair characterization of how I got to my conclusion, right?
Yes, but visually it is. I'm saying that's the sense in which you are right. Visually.
No, I don't accept that.
Like if you go to the desk of a physicist, visually it's applied mathematics. That's true,
God.
Right?
I just stop. Okay, so science in general, right? Scientists study very different stuff, but they're all called scientists. Why are they all called scientists, my friend?
They're accepted as members of a scientific community.
Yes, what is the category of scientists defined by?
They're accepted as members of a scientific community.
That's not an answer.
That literally is the
No,
answer. That's
why are
why
they
we-
accepted? Oh my god, I shouldn't have to spell that out to you. Why are they accepted? What qualifies one as a member of a scientific community? If you're talking, your mic's not working. Still not working. Unless it's my mic, but I don't think so.
No, you're
I
fine.
know the answer you want is they perform science, correct?
No, they apply the methodology of science.
Yeah, close enough.
Okay, what do you think the methodology of science is?
Well, I mean, in generic sense, it's the philosophy of logical positivism.
Okay, that's been a dead philosophy since like the 1920s.
It's still the basic, like, understanding. Like, we have updated it a little bit. It's not dead, dude. It's like,
it's
and it's
very
embodied.
dead.
It's embodied in the practical application of science, man.
No, it literally is dead. It's
it's not dead.
abandoned.
All
No,
right,
like
dude.
Sci-Fi abandoned the shit out of it.
Empiricism is what we use in science.
Empiricism's not logical positivism.
Empiricism is logical positivism. Logical positivism is a type of empiricism, dude.
Yes, but empiricism is not logical positivism. Right?
Logical positivism was the empirical philosophy that informed the way that we do science today.
No, its
Yes.
central thesis. Its central thesis is verificationism. That was abandoned by the time of Karl
Of
Popper, right?
course.
No
Dude,
one
come
believes
on.
in
Verification.
the same.
Verificationism is treated true in the performative sense when you perform scientific experimentation.
No one thinks
Yes,
you verify.
absolutely.
Absolutely. What do you mean?
You don't have to think that you verify it, right? Like, non-confirmation is pretty fucking close. They're very similar ideas. It's not like it's completely different. It just changed the terminology a little bit.
What?
Okay, so
so
when we're
verificationism
saying
was abandoned because no matter how many instances you see of something, you do not verify it. You never verify it. Most people realize
exactly,
you can never verify
that's why
something.
we use non-confirmation. But the point is that when you're trying to verify it, you're acting as if you can. Obviously, duh. Otherwise, why would you try?
No one sets up the
When you attempt
verificationism
to
was
demonstrate
abandoned.
something, when you attempt to demonstrate something, your intention is to verify it.
Not necessarily. Your
Most
intention,
of the
your intention
time.
for experimentation could be falsification.
Of course, yes, but you either intend to verify it or falsify it, and that is what scientific methodology is about.
Not necessarily. I mean, there's a
Yes,
whole category of
necessarily.
research done that are
Verification and
hypothesis generating.
falsification. Verification and falsification are the backbone of scientific methodologies.
What is that? What is a hypothesis generating experiment to you then? Given that
Pardon?
it neither verifies nor falsifies. A hypothesis generating experiment.
What do you mean a hypothesis generating experiment?
You're not familiar with term?
A hypothesis generating one? No.
Yes.
No, I don't know what that means. Explain it to me.
There's a type of experiment, an experimental design in which one does not have a hypothesis going in at all, right? You do a survey, although observational studies as such, right? You don't actually have a hypothesis going in.
Yes, you do. You have a
conduct-
hypothesis that there is information to be collected, dude.
That's not a hypothesis.
That absolutely fucking is a hypothesis. You don't know it's the case.
That there is information to be gained.
Yes, you cannot know that that is the case if you haven't done any investigations yet.
A hypothesis is
You said like there's a type of hypothesis where you have no information going in. You don't think anything is true. Yeah, no, there's not. You always think something's true. You have a bunch of other information.
a hypothesis is a proposed explanation for something.
Of
right?
course,
Saying-
but
when
even
you
if
go to an
listen,
experiment and you say,
dude,
you go to say there's information to be found here, that's not a hypothesis.
dude, listen. even though when you do an experiment where you're trying to come up with hypotheses, you're not verifying or falsifying. You're looking for something to verify or falsify, are you not?
You're just looking for a pattern.
Yeah,
yeah, sure.
exactly. And then as
But
soon
that's
as you
not a
have a pattern,
hypothesis in and of
no, but
itself.
look, dude, you're saying like in the one instance where you know nothing, you don't verify or falsify. How's that? And I'm saying like as soon as you have any information, all you're doing is verifying and falsifying when you're doing science.
But these are valid parts of science. A survey is
That's
valid.
so. That's not the point, man. The point is that like a huge majority of what the application of science is about is verification and falsification. Seems like your mic's fucked again.
They don't have hypotheses attached.
I couldn't hear any of that, dude.
What a pain. Let's see. Give me a second here. Okay. Okay. So
Thank you for listening. Like, share, subscribe, and join us in the Nameless Debates Discord. We hope to see you there.